What if I told you that everything you've been taught about resilience is probably wrong? We're told to be tough, to build walls, and to never let them see us sweat. We live in a culture that glorifies being invincible. But what if the real secret to bouncing back from adversity isn't about being impenetrable, but about being brave enough to be seen? Modern research suggests that the path to resilience is paved with something we've been taught to avoid: vulnerability. In this video, we're going to explore how embracing your vulnerability can tap into a source of strength you never knew you had. So the first part is redefining resilience and the myth of the unbreakable wall. For years, we've pictured resilience as this kind of emotional fortress. We imagine building thick, high walls around our hearts and minds to protect ourselves from the pain and struggle of life. The goal is to be unbreakable, but here's the problem with that image. Walls don't bend, they break. And under enough pressure, even the strongest fortress will eventually crack. And when it does, the collapse can feel catastrophic. More than that, those walls don't just keep out the bad stuff. They keep out connection, love, and the very support we desperately need when we're struggling. This is why modern psychology is rethinking what it truly means to be resilient. True resilience isn't some fixed trait that you either have or you don't. It's a dynamic, adaptive process. It's not about avoiding life's hits. It's about our ability to adapt and even grow from adversity, trauma, and stress. It's not about building a wall. It's about becoming a skilled and flexible navigator of life's storms. And that kind of navigation requires a completely different tool. Let's kind of dive into the vulnerability paradox. Why being open makes you stronger. The tool that we need is vulnerability. Now, I know what you're thinking. Vulnerability, isn't that just a fancy word for weakness? Our culture certainly treats it that way, but we associate vulnerability with fear, shame, and emotional exposure. Leading researchers like Dr. Brené Brown have spent decades showing that this is a dangerous misconception. Vulnerability, by her definition, isn't weakness. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when you have no control over the outcome. It's stepping into the arena of life knowing you could win or you could get your butt kicked. It's being honest about who you are and what you want. And here's the paradox. We're taught to fear vulnerability, but it's the very birthplace of everything we crave. Think about it. Love, belonging, joy, trust, creativity. None of these experiences are possible without taking an emotional risk. You can't have a deep connection without being open enough to truly be seen. You can't innovate without the risk of failure. That's good stuff. Vulnerability isn't the opposite of strength. It's a far more accurate measure of our courage. The people we see as truly resilient aren't the ones who pretend that they have it all together. They're the ones with the guts to face their imperfections, to sit with uncertainty, and to be honest about their struggles. They've learned that real strength doesn't come from a shield, but from an open heart. So next, let's go over the science of strength. What happens in your brain and body? This isn't just a nice idea. It's backed by some fascinating science. When you practice vulnerability in a safe context, like opening up to someone you trust, your brain chemistry literally changes. Neuroscience research indicates that being vulnerable can trigger the release of oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. Oxytocin is crucial for building trust, empathy, and social connection. That warm, safe feeling you get during a deep, honest conversation, that's oxytocin at work, creating a powerful buffer against stress. But it goes deeper. Facing difficult emotions instead of suppressing them also engages your prefrontal cortex. This is your brain's CEO. It's responsible for emotional regulation, problem solving, and smart decision making. By confronting and processing vulnerable feelings, you're essentially giving your brain a workout. You're training it to manage stress more effectively, think more clearly under pressure, and make better choices when faced with a challenge. Engaging with these emotions helps you develop the emotional regulation skills that are key to resilience. Recent studies have also linked resilience to a key molecule called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF. This protein helps with the growth and maintenance of our neurons and plays a big role in learning and memory. Research suggests that the way our brains regulate molecules like BDNF can be associated with how resilient or susceptible we are to stress. Think of it like this. Avoiding vulnerability is like skipping the gym because the weights are heavy. Sure, you avoid the strain in the short term, but you'll never build any muscle. Embracing vulnerability is like picking up those weights. It's uncomfortable at first, but with practice, you are actively building the neurological and chemical muscle of resilience. So next, section 4, the power of connection. You can't be resilient alone. One of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is that we have to handle everything on our own. But science and human experience show us the exact opposite. Resilience is not a solo sport, it's built in connection with others, and the bridge to that connection is vulnerability. When you hide your struggles, you're basically putting up a "no help needed" sign. You isolate yourself behind that wall we talked about earlier. But when you have the courage to share what you're going through with someone who has earned the right to hear it, you do something incredible. You invite empathy. You give them a chance to show up for you. Think about a time a friend came to you and said, "I'm really struggling right now." Did you see them as weak? Of course not. You probably felt a surge of empathy. Your respect for them grew, and you felt closer to them. You wanted to help. Why on earth do we assume people see us differently? Social support is one of the most well-documented protective factors for building resilience. Having people who will remind you of your own strength when you forget, who will hold space for your struggles without judgment, that's what keeps you moving forward. But that support system can only kick in when you are vulnerable enough to let people in. Remember this the next time you're going through something tough. Letting someone in isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategic act of resilience building. So one quick thing, if you're finding this journey from toughness to resilience helpful, please take a second to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. We are all in this together. So next, let's talk about actionable steps to practice vulnerability safely. So we know vulnerability is key, but how do we actually do it? Especially when it feels so risky. It's not about oversharing your deepest, darkest secrets with every single person you meet. It's a practice, a skill you build over time. Here are 4 practical steps to help get you started. Step 1. Start with self-compassion. You can't really be vulnerable with others until you learn to be kind to yourself. Self-compassion is the practice of treating yourself with the same kindness you'd offer a good friend. Research by Dr. Kristen Neff shows that it's a cornerstone of resilience. It means acknowledging your struggles without judging yourself for them. The next time you make a mistake or feel like you're not good enough, try to resist the urge to beat yourself up. Instead, pause and tell yourself, "This is a moment of suffering. This is hard right now. How can I be kind to myself?" This internal safety net makes it much less terrifying to be vulnerable with others. Step 2, identify your arena. Researcher Brené Brown uses the powerful metaphor of the arena. Your arena is any area of your life where you feel exposed. Giving a presentation, having a tough conversation with a loved one, starting a new project, or sharing your art. The goal isn't to avoid the arena. The goal is to have the courage to step into it. So what's one arena in your life right now? Just naming it, acknowledging where you feel vulnerable, is the first step towards showing up bravely inside it. So step 3, share with people who've earned the right to hear it. Vulnerability without boundaries isn't really vulnerability. It's often a trauma response or a cry for attention. True, healthy vulnerability is about sharing your story and your feelings with people, Healthy vulnerability is about sharing your story and your feelings with people who have earned your trust. These are friends, family, or mentors who have shown up for you in the past, who listen without judgment, or who treat your story with respect. Make a short list of your go-to people. These are the folks you can practice being more open with. Step 4, reframe failure as learning. Vulnerability is fundamentally about being willing to be imperfect. When we try something new, we risk sucking at it at first. When we speak our truth, we risk being misunderstood. Resilient people don't see these moments as failures, they see them as data. They adopt a growth mindset. So the next time something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, what did I learn from this? How can I tweak my approach next time? This reframes setbacks from a dead end to a vital part of the journey. Let's talk about a story of true resilience. If you want a powerful, real-world example of all of this in action, just look up the story of Nick Vujicic. Born without any arms or legs, he faced unimaginable physical and emotional challenges. For years, he struggled with depression and feelings of worthlessness, trying his best to put on a brave face. But his journey toward a profound resilience didn't begin when he learned to be tough. It began when he learned to embrace his vulnerability. He started sharing his story, the raw, painful truth of his struggles and his deepest fears. He didn't hide his physical reality or his emotional pain. He put it all out in the open. And in doing so, he connected with millions of people around the world. His vulnerability didn't push people away, it drew them in. It allowed them to see their own struggles reflected in his story. By courageously showing up as his whole and perfect self, Nick Vujicic built a life of incredible purpose and became a global symbol of resilience. His story is living proof that our greatest strengths are often forged in the very places we feel the most vulnerable. So, in conclusion, for too long, we've bought into the myth that resilience is an impenetrable fortress we build to keep pain out. But the truth is, real resilience is the courage to stand in the open, to be seen for who we really are, and to connect with others from that authentic place. It's the strength found not in our perfection, but in our willingness to be imperfect. It's not about never falling, it's about how we rise. And we rise by reaching out, not by closing ourselves off. Your vulnerability is not your weakness. It is your most courageous and powerful path to a truly resilient life. So, to end, I'd love to hear your story. What is one small way you can practice vulnerability this week? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this message resonated with you, please like this video and share it with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye!